All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, episode 2.195. We got a lot to talk about this week, and I really mean it this time. So we're going to start with headlines, which is a total hodgepodge from around the world. Weekly What If. We're going to talk MLS expansion. Premier League, Arsenal can do no wrong at this point, and Everton can literally do no right. Rest of world, back with a vengeance with Gio and U.S. men's national team news. And then finally, stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Then actually stay tuned. I dip my toes back into the interview waters these days. There's a quick catch up with good friend of the pod and newly minted American and men's national teamer Julian Gressel, who is currently at January camp. So we talked about that. Stay tuned for that. Phew. All right. Long summary. We will keep the intros quick and dirty. Time to welcome in this distinguished panel of beauties here with me this week. So first up, we got fan of soon-to-be Premier League champion Arsenal, none other than this week's Tweedle representative, Mr. Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch. So, Mitch, how are you going to celebrate your almost inevitable first title in 2 decades here?
I'm not engaging in this on Twitter, and I'm not engaging in it in person either. You continue to try to jinx Arsenal by giving us the title now, and I simply can't engage. We'll go to Disneyland when it happens, but for right now, we're just focused on the next game, one game at a time.
One game, okay, very cliche answer. I get it, very cookie cutter. Listen, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but I've made it clear on Twitter at this point. I am officially announcing myself as the world's biggest Manchester fan right now. Not United, not City, Manchester. Okay, so I'm just a big fan of the city and big fan of the clubs there. I'm rooting for them with all my heart. It was kind of a mixed bag this weekend, which we'll get into soon enough. But speaking of which, we have our resident weird brain and city fan back. Great to see you, Mr. Rudy Junda. So your Twitch is blowing up, and everybody should go check you out. You're first of all, you're the only person I know who admits to owning a gimp suit and actually wears it kind of in public. So I like that about you. But give us the lowdown on why you got sent at least temporarily to Twitch jail the other day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the promo. Yeah, I got my first ban, which is a rite of passage for all Twitch streamers. Everyone gets banned at some point. It's like the saying, you're not playing hard unless you're catching a couple fouls. So but I was watching this reality show called Joe Schmo, and on Twitch, like a big part of like Twitch content is reacting, where you just like watch something. A lot of the times people do old reality shows and just sort of react to it. So I don't usually do that, but I was like, I'll try it. So I did it, and I watched this old show called Joe Schmo on Spike TV. First of all, fucking gas. One of the greatest reality shows I think has ever been made. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I swear to God, it is the godfather of reality TV. It is so fucking good. Anyways, it was on Spike TV, so there's some lewd content in it. So this people on YouTube, since so many people were watching it on Twitch, and you can't show nudity on there, they like edited it so it was safe for stream. So I watched the first episode, all good, and then I couldn't find like an edited second episode, but I found one that it was like the second episode. I was like, okay, it should be good. I kind of scrubbed through it. I was like, I should be okay. Click play, and then went pee. And while I was playing, it did like a recap of episode 1, which had a touch the hooker challenge, which is where everyone had to like touch a hooker, and the first person to let go or the last person holding on won. And like two of the people had to hold her boob, so like one guy just let go. So they just showed her boob. I was peeing, and I came back, and everyone in my chat was like, boobs, 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 boobs. And then I just got Thanos snapped out of existence like 10 minutes later. But it was light, just a quick 3-day ban, slap on the wrist. No big deal. It was an innocent mistake. So we got the ban lifted, and I'll be back. I guess this will be tomorrow, so I'm back tonight, which is yesterday for everyone at home.
Nice, just a little rite of passage, a little let you know that the Thanos is around in case
exactly.
They need to. Okay, good stuff. Well, last and least this week, we were going to have Tyler Terrence on the program to commiserate with me about our shitty teams, but unfortunately, he came down with some sort of sniffles, so he just bailed like literally right before the pod. He'll be we'll have to come up with some sort of punishment on that. We'll talk about that later.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yes, thoughts and prayers to his immune system. And I'm just going to go through with the intro question because it was more of a PSA than it was a question anyway. So I was going to ask him what he's going to be doing on Wednesday night And why is it going to be going with me to Declan's to watch the U.S. men's national team game? So he's not here to answer that. But anybody in Chicago, if you hear this and you are, you have a free night on Wednesday, let's go watch some soccer. I think the game starts at 9. Declan's is on Well Street. Come on down. We'll just have a good old time. All right, let's move on. Headlines. We got a lot of headlines, so I'm going to run through these kind of quickly because we got some meaty stuff to get to later. So the first one is it's being called a landmark decision. FIFA did something right, actually. So they dropped the hammer on Olympic Lyon for not paying a women's player during her pregnancy. So I was sort of shocked that this wasn't already established as like a worldwide precedent, and did some reading on it. The NWSL didn't actually have a policy on this, I think, until last year. But to be fair, the teams in NWSL always paid their players. So shout out to them. But this basically, I don't know if this was a France specific thing or what, but the fact, that FIFA had to come down and say this had to be, policy is crazy, kind of sad, and also kind of an important reminder of the, small but important hurdles that, women's sports still have to deal with that we don't even sort of see, we don't realize. So just a little reminder on that. Good news, I suppose, if belatedly so. Next up,
it is wild, dude. Like, how do they I imagine like their excuses like we just couldn't see this coming. It's like,
right.
Like that's like a universal rule unless you're like working not in like the developed world.
It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Europe. Isn't Europe? Don't you get like 4 years off if you have a kid?
Exactly. It is something like that. It's a lot longer, men and women. It's a lot longer than the U.S. I know that's
right
for sure. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what the deal is with that, but good for FIFA, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't give them a lot of flowers, so I guess we'll give them some here. All right. Next up, supporters groups of the LA Galaxy actually came together to release a statement basically expressing anger at reports that, still unconfirmed, that President Chris Klein was going to be given a contract extension with the Galaxy. And so they put out a statement basically calling for a boycott if this actually goes through. The big complaint I've seen is that, Klein was being rewarded for mediocrity on the field, if even that, in some seasons. Obviously, there were some rule violations that happened there too. And no doubt the anger is being intensified a little bit by LAFC coming out here and like winning MLS Cup. But to me, it was interesting because it feels like, supporters groups here in the US, right? We don't have that decades and decades and generational sort of experience that it gets handed down, as Mitch was saying before the pod, like New England Revolution. You don't have like a parent handing down their fanhood to a kid quite yet. Maybe it'll happen soon, but so it feels like this could be some sort of, I don't know, coming of age perhaps of like supporter groups, like having their voice heard and like wanting to be involved with club operations, which, I mean, if you're a fan of the club, it's kind of a great thing if you can do that. I know in Europe, you look at the ultras, they'll come storm a pitch and go into the management boardroom and fuck some shit up. So there's that one. That's one side. And then I've also seen some people on Twitter saying, this kind of sounds like fans being petulant and spoiled just because like they think Galaxy are deserving of being on top of the table. I don't know. One side, would you pick one side of that, Mitch?
Feels like a bunch of LA people being soft. It feels like a bunch of West Coasters not being happy with their team's performance, needing a scapegoat for it, realizing that he's up for a contract extension and using that as an opportunity to voice their distaste. Would they ever actually boycott over a contract extension for someone like that? Maybe. That seems like a pretty dramatic course of action to take over something so trivial, but like you can make impact, you can make changes on your club in other ways other than just like calling for a boycott when you don't like something. This isn't even like a big issue. This is managerial. This is like grow up.
He does have some power, right? I mean, he's involved with bringing all the players in and stuff like that. So I get it. It does seem like a bit draconian to just be like, we're going to, if they actually go through with it, I'm interested to see how this plays out. I mean, if they actually go through with it, I guess I got to give them a little more credit. You know,
I think a club-wide boycott is a course of action that should be reserved for something a little more intense than I don't like the guy that's calling the shots. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Harry Kane just scored us. Oh no, that was a fuck. See, this is the problem with
Oh
doing a
no, you
podcast.
didn't just do that.
It was a replay. It was a goddamn.
You just
replay.
did that.
I was gonna say you scored about 2 hours ago.
I know. I thought it was the second one. I was like, why would they be showing a replay in the 86th minute? It must be a new goal. God
Oh, that's
damn
so
it.
odd. See, the thing with like being a Man City fan is that happens to me all the time, but I don't even get mad because I'm like, oh, they'll score again.
We'll wait 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
Haaland will have had 2 more
Yeah.
goals. We're
Yeah.
gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, Rudy.
Good.
Casual hat trick hero over there. So yeah, we'll see how the LA Galaxy situation plays out. Third, Brian McBride is out as general manager at US Soccer Federation. So, I have no idea what this means, for the federation. I have no idea what this means for the all-important decision on coaches. Maybe nothing. Maybe it means nothing for that. The thing that caught my eye about this was the amount of people on Twitter who just were shitting all over Brian McBride. If you've met Brian McBride, he's like one of the nicest dudes you will ever meet. I don't know exactly what his role was. I think it was involved with, liaising between clubs and the federation and sort of making sure the lines of communication are open and you can have players come for windows and all that stuff. I haven't heard anybody say that he sucked at his job or anything like that. It just caught my eye that he would just not everybody, but it was so much shitting on Brian McBride. It just is like symbolic, signifies just how toxic, the situation is right now, especially on Twitter, as always. But like the situation surrounding US soccer right now is it's so we're going to get into this more later, but yeah,
I think these are important growing pains.
Yeah.
The fact that people on Twitter feel so strongly about somebody who they didn't really lose sleep over while he was in charge. The fact that they feel strongly enough to tweet about it and take to the internet and voice their opinions means we are becoming a footballing nation. And
Exactly.
over the next couple of years, we're going to see more and more of that. And we kind of just have to take it in stride, relish in it, and accept the fact that, hey, we're going to see some batshit crazy takes on the internet, and that's okay because you're going to see both sides of it. But these are growing pains that any footballing nation goes through. We'll come out on the other side better.
I like the positive spin on that.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Rudy? Or you're just going to?
No, I kind of fuck. I mean, my first question is: are the people that are griping about it on Twitter people that are like in the know, or is it just casuals?
No,
mostly casuals.
Anybody feeling the need to talk on Twitter is probably not in the know.
Yeah, that's a good. I sort of answered my own question by even asking. You're right, but yeah, no, I mean. I was going to say, we don't know like how he operated behind the scenes, because there's a lot of people that are like forward facing that are cool, that are just absolute dickheads. But, it's American tradition. When someone gets fired, you then all of a sudden are the one that was right the whole time. So it's business as usual.
Okay. Fair enough. Last one. So this is actually a shocker. Dani Alves, long known as one of the best right backs in the world for many years, played with Barcelona and the Brazilian national team. He actually came back and had a cup of coffee with Barcelona again the other year. Now he's playing in Mexico. He was just arrested in Barcelona and charged with sexual assault and is being held without bail for the time being. I mean, this stems from like a night out at a club, a month ago or something like that. A woman, alleges that he raped her in a bathroom. I mean, just sort of sad and shocking news, about a guy who has been, first of all, he's been in the public eye forever. And he's obviously been one of the, a high profile, big star, but he's also really active on social media. He's always putting out, stuff, singing songs, doing whatever. So it's just like kind of really, I was just taken aback by it. I didn't see this coming at all. And I guess nothing really to say at this point, just sad and shocking. There's no winners when something like this comes out. All right. Weekly what if time. So there's been a lot of talk lately about what the next MLS expansion city is going to be. Obviously, St. Louis is team number 29, and they're going to start this season. And I've been outspoken about how excited I am about that. But if hypothetically you were given carte blanche to launch team number 30 in a city that does not have a team already. That's an important twist here. What city are you going to go with? Rudy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say give me like because of like my experience in junior hockey playing in Texas, no one really knew anything about hockey there. But that weirdly made it better because they were just fucking down to like go and just like a lot of it was the fighting. They loved the fighting. But like I think if you go to like sort of a place where people are passionate and it's a small town ish, then you kind of can build and cultivate. Like they just want to have fun and drink. That's what people like. At the end of the day, all people want to do is get fucked up and yell and have something to like scream about. So I'm thinking, bro, I'm thinking like Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Not even New Orleans. You go
No,
straight to
dude, no,
Baton
because they got things, dude. They got Pelicans, they got the Saints, you don't want to go toe to toe with them. Baton Rouge, man, I've been there. They are like they got LSU, but then other than that, there ain't much going on, and they're passionate. So fucking put the boys in the South and let them be kings. Perfect mid-size town, Baton Rouge.
Off the radar pick. Of course, the
Yeah,
weird brain comes up with that. I like it. I like
yeah,
it. Your explanation makes sense. I know that. Listen, I know Baton Rouge is a sports town based on just what you see from LSU, and you can get maybe the college crew to show
yeah,
up and party and just get fucked up, as you say. I feel like
yeah.
that could be good vibes. Okay, all right, throw Baton Rouge up there. Mitch, what do you got?
I'm not going to any of your Baton Rouge games, but good on you. Good luck this season. I'll go with another mid-sized city. I have to put on for where I'm currently located in Portland, Maine. The easy answer is like a Vegas or San Diego. San Diego's got the Loyal, but that's a different situation. Portland, Maine does not have a professional soccer team. I think there's a hell of an audience up here. Size enough for a mid-market MLS team. It would be the little brother to the New England Revolution for a little while. But even above the Revolution, like there's not much up here in the Northeast, and there's a hell of a soccer culture up here in the Northeast. Be cold about 4 or 5 months of the year, but it would be worth it. And I think we could really compete. So bring an MLS team to Portland, Maine.
Okay, I like you guys both went off the reservation with these. You know, the candidates that are, sort of talked about a lot are, and San Diego is the favorite, I believe, the betting favorite at this point to be the next number 30. San Diego, Sacramento, Las Vegas is always talked about for obvious reasons. Detroit, Detroit City has a really cool vibes with their homegrown sort of fan culture. So I don't know how that would work with MLS because they don't so much like MLS in the fan base there. But Detroit, Tampa, Indianapolis maybe is another one. The one I'm going to go with though, give me Phoenix.
Okay.
I'm bringing the Rising up, and I'm mandating that MLS gives us monthly Friday games because allowing us to do dollar beer nights is a must, and we'll bring the people out. We'll let them get fucked up. We'll create that culture, and that I was just talking about this with somebody on Instagram. Like the dollar beer nights was the coolest thing for a couple of years there when they were just absolutely killing it. Didier Drogba was pouring in goals. Yeah, give
I
me
remember that.
Phoenix Rising. Exactly, it was like a phenomenon. People, especially Barstool, would blog about it and we'd post about it, and yeah, give me Phoenix.
Didn't
You say
Diplo like
we.
own a team or something?
Who's that?
Didn't Diplo like own a team or something? Am I tripping? In Phoenix?
That
He's like
wouldn't
involved with some USA team, like lower
might be.
league.
It might be US. It might be Phoenix Rising.
I,
The
I
real answer to this what if is just promotion relegation. Either promote the San Diego Loyal, promote Detroit City FC, promote Phoenix Rising, and the fan base will come. You don't have to start a new organization.
true.
I mean, listen, we're
But
yeah, we don't have to get into
we
that.
can tackle that problem at a later
Right.
date.
As fans, I think we're all on the same side of wanting pro and rel, but as somebody with a brain, I understand the feasibility issues that come
I
with
like the Drogba shout though. I would love to see more washed up strikers come like just ball out in USL. Really, really just play with their food down there. That would make like spend some money on them, pay them well. They're gonna have to live in places like Chattanooga and shit, but like get them here, get them to where we need to be as a secondary league in this world.
Yeah,
In this
make the USL,
that'll be great.
because the MLS was the retirement league. Let USL take that on. Let USL
be retired. Yeah, MLS is shedding that image as well. Yeah. And someone needs to step into that role as being a proud retirement league. USL, I think that's you.
I like it. All right, Premier League time. So we got to start with the highest profile game of the weekend. And, admittedly, turned out to be one of the most entertaining games I've seen in a while. Arsenal pipped United 3-2 on a late tip-in from Eddie and Nketiah in the dying moments. So I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Goulet. Did this game and this win specifically kind of feel like some sort of, I don't know, inflection point or moment that we'll look back on later?
We're definitely going to look back on this game as a proof of improvement. United beat us earlier in the season. It's our only loss so far. That was a game that I think a lot of the guys carried with them there. This, even without Gabriel Jesus, shows how the strides that we've made this season, because United are a better team now than they were when they beat us. And I think despite the score being as close as it was, and despite needing a 90th minute winner, you look at the possession, you look at who dictated the flow of that game, it was Arsenal through and through. This is absolutely a game that we're going to look back on as a pivotal point in the season. In that review video that we're going to... You want to jinx us
the DVD?
I'm not going to. Yeah, in the commemorative DVD, I'll say.
The championship DVD. Now, we're going to get into City in a little bit, but listen, it now feels like, I don't know. Do you think it's a 2-team race, Rudy?
Yeah, no, I mean, Arsenal's a fucking wagon, dude. Like, you can't argue with it. That win was fucking sick. And regardless of how I feel about United or Arsenal, I'm obviously much more stoked that Arsenal is doing well because it's the crop that we sowed.
You'll take a little ownership over it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just like, hey, you know what? Here's our guy. Here's our coach. Go ahead. Here's one of our strikers. Go ahead. Here's one of the great, left back, right back, midfielders. You can put him wherever you want. He's a great guy. So yeah, no, I mean, but trolling aside, though, I fucking love watching Arsenal play. I'm even happy that Man U is good now because it's more fun. It's just a very fun thing. And it got to the point where it's like, okay, it was fun to shit on them for 7 years, but let's maybe turn this around. And so, yeah, no, it was an awesome game. I mean, United is going to be very difficult. Very, 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 very much looking forward to Friday. Very much looking forward to Friday. It sort of has the same feels of the Liverpool last year, where it's this is going to be a great game. Although I think that back then Pep was just man, Klopp's awesome. It was a stroke fest where they were just both we're so great. All of us are so great. Both teams are so great. I think Pep's fucking about to lose his fucking mind, which I love. So I think this one has a lot more personal feel than that one did last year.
That one was a stroke fest because Pep was comfortably the better coach there. So he was fine giving his flowers. He was fine kind of relishing in that moment. Now Pep's on the hot seat. He is no longer the best manager in the Premier League, and he feels it.
Well, I don't know.
He's no longer the best manager in the Premier League.
Okay. Yeah, no, four to five last, whatever.
Spot.
Yeah, no. When was the last time Arsenal, you remember, I didn't forget Arteta out. I didn't forget that, by the way.
I had no part of that.
I'll check the receipts on that.
I actually don't. I don't think Mitch was ever a part of that. I remember a lot of Arsenal fans that were.
Yep.
And I do think there should be something. There should be a rule. Okay, if you turn and you start calling for a manager's head, Arteta out, Berhalter out, whoever. If you do that, that's fine. I mean, that's your right as a fan. You then do not get to crow about the championship if that coach goes on to win something. I feel like that's it should be a rule. You should be smart.
Who's enforcing that rule. That might need to be community enforced. But yeah,
tattooed on your forehead that you were.
No, you just. I would accept it. It's fine as long as you do notes app apology.
Okay, yeah, notes. You got to do something. You got to do something. Okay, I like that. We'll work on this. We'll workshop it. Yeah, unfortunately, Arsenal is legitimately good. And I said if they won that game, I was going to go from kind of nervous to legitimately nervous. I'm legitimately nervous now. I'm officially on the Manchester bandwagon. Don't care which one. It could be blue, it could be red. I don't care. I'm just a Manchester fan right now.
I like that.
And the Friday, you're right. You brought up the FA Cup game. That will be, we'll get to weekend preview in a little bit, but yeah, that's finally we're gonna get to see Arsenal and City. I feel like it's been long enough. Let's see how it goes. Other games we got to talk about. The other highest profile game of the weekend turned out to be an absolute snoozer. Liverpool and Chelsea basically sleptwalked through a 0-0 yawn. Or Terrence obviously didn't want to show up to actually answer for that debacle. But the one thing I will say about that game, and the one thing I sort of immediately thought of, I am 1000% convinced that VAR essentially ruined that game. Like, I know it was probably the right call. Havertz's pinky toe or something was like just a little bit too far forward. If that goal had stood, I think that game would have been a lot of fun. There would have been goals. It would have been like, it just would have been back and forth. Instead, you see a goal go in, Chelsea get high, Liverpool and the fans, they probably are like, oh, fuck, here we go again. And then the goal gets chalked off. Everybody kind of, especially Arsenal or the Liverpool fans kind of, or the team especially, like, you take a deep breath, like, whew, we were saved. And then you go back to playing a little more defensively. You don't want to do that again. And the game just sucked. That game sucked. It was awful. That's really all I had, other than Mudryk, who looks like a live one.
Looks like a problem.
Yeah,
that
Milner
like
is going to see him in his nightmares for months.
When I saw him, like the highlights, I was watching it and I was just like, dude, okay. Well, first of all, I was like, they're just throwing money. The 100 million thing nowadays is sort of you look at it from a tinted lens because you're like, is it this? Is it that? Like, is he going to be what he thinks is, or is it like all hype, or like he could be this good or whatever? I was like, this dude is a problem.
He's fast
dude, super fast.
And Milner, put in a proper English challenge within a couple minutes.
Welcome him to the league.
He welcomed him to the league.
But James Milner, who's played in, like, honest to God, 1% of all Premier League games ever played. James Milner has played in 1.2% of them.
I bet you it's more.
I'm glad he welcomed him to the league.
Premier League, I bet you he's played in like 15% of Premier League games. That guy's been. Oh, you're talking like not just Liverpool. That's all.
No, okay. All time Premier League games, James Milner's played in 1.2% of them.
I believe it. That dude is old as fuck.
Yeah. He is. And he welcomed Mudryk to the league, and Mudryk responded by making him look like a goddamn fool. He basically.
First of all, I got something to say about Klopp on that regard. First of all, that should be a crime.
Right.
That should be a crime. That should be a crime. That is ageism right there. Being like, Milner, hey, you're gonna guard this Ukrainian freak that is 300 years younger than you. I don't even know if Milner. I think Milner just like fell over. I was like, he didn't even see the guy. He was like, did I run into something? It
was like, I looked at it and I was like, damn, it reminded me of me in Monday League when you get these little 22-year-old shitheads who just fucking fly up and down. And you're like, if you take one step wrong at my age, you are just toast. And that's what looked like with Milner. So it hit me a little hard watching him and sort of seeing how much he was struggling with that.
Yeah, respect to Milner for even putting in like a good effort.
No, we've said it before. It's about time for the glue factory, unfortunately. But he's been a soldier, and he still will be. But I think you gotta save him from himself, Klopp, as you said. Maybe that's a jail time offense. Other games, City Wolves. The only thing we got to talk about here is number one, Wolves are terrible. Erling Haaland, this freaking guy notched his 4th hat trick of the season, his first season in the Premier League, by the way. He has scored 25 goals so far in 20 games. He's only played 19. In 20 games, he's got 25 goals. That means he has 18 games left. He's scored 25 goals. The last 4 Golden Boot winners have scored 22 or 23. He has 25, and he has 18 more games to play. That is mind-boggling, to borrow the phrase from KFC. My mind is completely blown about where he's going to end up this season, let alone down the road, because this guy is an absolute freak. I don't know. You want to stroke him off a little more than that, Rudy?
No, first of all, he's obviously incredible, and what he's doing in the Premier League is unbelievable. Very, very exciting, very cool. I love this new discourse that's formed on the internet where everyone just sort of hopped on the same tank the same take where they're like, "Oh, is City worse with Haaland?" And it's like, are you guys fucking high? First of all, I get it. We're Man City, where everyone's gonna always like make fun of us, like we're more money, yada yada yada. I get that, but like the last 3 years, all it was you guys need a striker, you guys need a striker, you guys need a striker, you guys need a striker. You're never gonna win without a striker. We get the best striker in the world, and now everyone's like, are they worse without him? It's like, are you fucking dumb, dude? You nuts?
They got to
And
come up with a take, right?
you
Everybody
got to come
does.
up with a take, dude. But like, it's insane. And they're like, "Oh, Arsenal is running laps." It's like, okay, yeah, Arsenal's having an incredible year. They're still within reach. They're having an incredible year. It's like the fifth best start in the Premier League history through this many games. So like, and we've won 4 out of 5. Like, what are you guys smoking? Like, everyone's trying to dunk on us, and I think it's literally insane. Also, no one's even talking about the fact that KDB only needs 9 more assists in 18 games to match his own record that's shared with Thierry Henry for the most assists in a season.
And the wildest thing about that is that he has not. I think he's been injured, but he has not been that good lately.
He didn't even play last game.
Right, he's just not been right for a while.
Yeah,
and he's still
now
that close.
does that mean I think that we're going to beat Arsenal? Who knows, man? They're really fucking good. But the fact that I got a guy I want to talk about, but I'll save it for later. Fucking Rory, this dude Rory on the internet, maybe has some of the worst Haaland takes I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Shout out Rory.
Rory Jennings, dude. Rory Jennings before the season said, "I think that Haaland is not going to win the Golden Boot. If he has 15 goals, it'll be a good season." Haaland has literally shoved it down this dude's throat so hard. And then he goes on his fucking podcast and is like, "Oh, you know what? I think I'm still kind of right because, the team isn't doing as good." It's like, motherfucker, he has 25 goals. 25 goals. Do you hear what you're saying? And then he went so far as to say, fuck, he got me so tilted. This dude got me so tilted. My initial thought was like, motherfucker, you're British. You should know ball. I don't know dick about this, and I know that this is a bad take. You're born in Britain. You should be better at this than I am. I don't know ball. I don't know ball. I know a little bit about ball. You should know ball. And he keeps fucking this up and doubling down on it and being like, you know what, man, like they're not going to win the city and then Pep is still done. It's like, oh my God, fucking Rory, dude.
Rory, shout out Rory.
Fucking
he really got
me,
under
dude.
your skin.
Triggered me, bro.
Seriously. Yeah. Listen, this Haaland is insane. Even if he gets hurt, like the big thing that I was concerned about with him, and I kind of still am, is he could get hurt, right? He's got a track record of some injuries that have slipped in. Even if he gets hurt at this point, even if he doesn't play another game, he's probably still going to win Golden Boot. So there's just no way that Rory can stand on. He has no, ground to stand on.
Dude, yeah, exactly. And he also went as far to say that everyone predicting, even the ones that predicted that Haaland would be good to start, were disrespecting the league. They were like, you're disrespecting Mo Salah, you're disrespecting Harry Kane, you're disrespecting Human Son. What does that even mean? What does that even mean, disrespecting the league? It wasn't like he was a nobody beforehand. What does that mean? And Salah came into the league in his first year and won the Golden Boot.
Listen, that strikes me as you got to have a take, right? That just strikes me as,
in a weird way, I actually respect him just being like, I'm gonna dig in. I'm gonna keep digging in on this.
He's got a hill. He's gonna die on it.
And then the meme of like Haaland scoring a hat trick in 15 minutes. He even went further and scored one in 14 minutes against Wolves, which is like legit, like living cones, but like whatever.
We've been outspoken about how bad they've been lately. Yeah. Listen, Erling Haaland, he's just scary. West Ham, other games quickly. West Ham beat Everton in the battle of big but totally craptastic clubs at this point. Little window into the how bad Everton is at the moment. They couldn't even successfully fire Frank Lampard. Like they eventually, I think, confirmed that they fired him, but every outlet, every media outlet was saying Frank Lampard has been fired. They're on the search for a new manager. Everton itself was like, no, we can't confirm that. We can't confirm that for hours and hours. And finally, mercifully, Super Frank was, sent packing. But like the fact that he was fired in like everybody's mind except for like some Everton PR people's, this club is in absolute disarray. The talent is just not there. Like I don't know if a manager, like that is not a club. It's so toxic with the fans and the board. I guess that makes me feel better about being a Tottenham fan because they are just like, shout out to Steve Cerruti. I don't know if he's, still alive and kicking it after the last few weeks of this, but
I was
like,
gonna say I haven't seen Steve on the pod in quite some time.
I know we'll have to get him back and at gunpoint
Yeah.
make him talk. I think he doesn't want to, but yeah, this is just a terrible situation. The one thing I'll add real quick, first of all, Big Sam, he could clean up this mess. Bring in Big Sam, you're okay. Number two, and this is the rumor on the internet right now, which there is definitely zero factual evidence behind it. People are saying that Greg Berhalter, maybe he could come in and fix it. Maybe a win-win if he does.
Dude, but then, man, I don't even know how people feel about Greg, but it's like, I don't even know if you want that, dude.
Oh, I don't. That is such a toxic situation. It was tough for Marsh to come in, following Bielsa, and this is way, way worse than that. Quickly,
I do
Ron,
love. I
go for it.
hope they don't get relegated because I just love. Like, first of all, it's a historical club. Isn't the only club that's never been relegated. Am I incorrect on that?
I think there's other ones. Oh, from the Premier League, or because
Yeah,
like from the first? I don't know.
I am pretty sure I saw that somewhere. Anyways, regardless of that, they're like a storied franchise, and it is a fun storyline seeing them struggle, but just make it through. I also just like can't envision a world where I don't watch. I love watching Jordan Pickford. He's just so angry all the time. Like I've never seen a goalie scream at their defenders so much, even before they were doing badly. Like if someone like had a little bit of space and shot it 80 yards over the net, he would be screaming, and everyone's just like, dude, like they're gonna shoot the ball.
He is a very angry goalkeeper. He's got very short arms, like very T-Rex arms.
Yes,
Quickly, a clarification. Let's call it a clarification, not a correction. Everton are the only team not among the big six
got it.
to have not been relegated. So it's United, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Chelsea.
Are they big
and
six
Everton.
now though?
Everton?
They're in the big 20.
Oh yeah, they're not even in the big 20 right now. They're probably in the big 30.
I mean in the Premier League.
I know they're not. They're not in anywhere near. It always used to be that, for not always, but for a few years there, probably like 5 years, it was like Big Six and Everton. And Everton was kind of like right there. It was like that next club. And then Leicester came in and won the league right in their face, right in everybody's face. And Everton really hasn't quite bounced back from that. So
It would be funny if they finished their stadium. It's not done yet, right?
No, it's not. And they
Imagine they finish that stadium and they're like, all right, guys, in the championship.
that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. It's just a terrible situation, and they're already in financial problems. Like
Yeah.
it is not good right now for Everton. Quickly, other games. I thought Leicester was going to pull it out against Brighton. They couldn't quite hold on. Cost me money. That's why I actually noticed. Leeds and Brentford. No explanation for this game. 0-0. It was ugly. Like I think I saw a stat where it was most incomplete passes in the history of like at least this year.
It was ugly. I don't know why I chose to watch it. It was ugly.
I thought it was going to be a goal fest. I really thought that both these teams were going to score. It was from the very beginning. It was ugly. There were a lot of ugly games. Crystal Palace, Newcastle was kind of ugly. Villa got their win just barely over Southampton. Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, 1-1. Anyway, let's go. So we're going to skip power rankings right in Tyler Tarrant's face because he's always complaining about them, but he's not hopping on. So we're not going to do them this week. So that'll piss him off. Weekend preview. Quickly, there's a couple games. So let's start with the one between you guys. FA Cup. FA City, I believe, is hosting Arsenal. I don't know. What do you think here, Rudy?
It's interesting that it's right before we jump into the big Premier League game. It'll be interesting to see. It's a feel out game, but with a lot more at stake. Big time feel out game with Pep. You don't know what he's gonna like just throw some misdirection, or even if Arteta might do that, like throw misdirection. The thing is that Arteta doesn't have as much like wiggle room in my mind with his like lineup and everything. Like he can tell them to do different things, but the lineup is he can still tinker with it and maybe save some guys or whatever. But they're definitely gonna go. I think they're gonna go for each other. I think that Pep may like show one thing and then that way he can do another. I'm very curious as to like the chess master of like showing this so that they think this, and then they do that. The rub on that obviously is that Arteta knows Pep better than almost any other Premier League manager because they worked together for so long. So he may know he's going to do that. It's a whole like fucking like double agent house of, you know, smoke and mirrors thing. My hope is that they just go for each other. They just go for each other, and then we can look at it like a, you know, a 2-game series basically. Um, but yeah, I really am curious as to our lineup, what we're gonna do, particularly in the defensive category.
I think Pep pulls some weird shit and like sits Haaland to start, brings him on after 60, and then
Yeah,
tries to win it. I think it'll be a tale of 2 games, really, because both teams will be not heavily rotated, but people will rest. And I wouldn't be surprised if we sit Shaka, if you guys sit Haaland, and then
right.
these players come on in the 60th and try to make a difference against some tired legs.
I
It's
agree with
not,
that. I agree with that.
it's not going to be quite. I don't think it's going to be like going at each other's throats, especially in the first half. It's going to be a lot of like feeling each other out. Both teams like to dominate the ball and dominate possession, and a product of Arteta working with Pep for so long is that like stylistically they're pretty similar.
Hmm.
Um, so it's going to be a chess match, and I do think that there's going to be some tomfuckery towards the 60th minute. I think Haaland's going to start on the bench and come on.
Yeah.
He'll start Alvarez, and that's going to be kind of a shock because for the past couple, like Haaland is an entirely another beast, as we've described ad nauseum earlier, but we haven't had to deal with like a super imposing striker apart from the games that we've played Haaland. And so I think that's just an entirely different look for our offense or I'm sorry, for our defense, who is better suited for fast wingers. I think Haaland's
Yes.
gonna cause some fucking havoc, and I'm not looking forward to it, but that'll be a good one.
It'll be I think in the Premier League game for sure, like the matchup to look at. I assume you're gonna start Gabriel because
Hurt.
he's hurt. Yes. Sorry, Gabriel. I don't want to celebrate injuries, but he's the one guy where it's like imposing physical dudes that can get under his skin.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have gone sideways for Gabriel because he can get triggered pretty easily, but that's great news for the boys.
Should be a good game. Should be a good game. The other FA Cup games, to keep an eye on. Brighton and Liverpool will be an interesting one, just sort of higher in the table teams. I'm always looking when it comes to these, fourth round, third round, fourth round, fifth round games. I always look for the ones that, they have the what is it, the Cinderella, cup set potential. So I wrote down a couple. I only look for little minnows that are at home. If you're going on the road, I know it happens every now and again, but if they're going on the road, I don't really focus on it too much. But some games, Wrexham, they are at home against Sheffield United. If they win again, I mean this would be big because it'll be in the documentary here in the U.S. and we'll sort
It's
of get a lot
awesome.
of
It's
pub.
awesome to watch.
It is cool. I mean, I'm rooting for them, but I'm sure like a lot. They're I'm sure by far the most popular. What are they? League One at this point, or are they still League Two? I don't know which one they are, but like they're by far the most popular team from that league that has ever existed. I assume at this point standings they are. Doesn't open. Google is too small for. They are in they're in the National League. Holy shit, they're small.
I never even heard of that.
I mean, that's tiny. I didn't know they were that far down. Wow. So shout out them for winning that game last round. So if they get if they get another win, god damn, good for them. Also Preston hosting Tottenham. This could happen. I'll just be honest. This Tottenham team, I know we just squeaked out a 1-0 win against Fulham at Fulham, which is no, sort of, it's nothing to sneeze at. This Fulham Ream team, shout out Ream team. They're nothing to hold your nose up at. So it's a good win, but Tottenham could absolutely lose that game to Preston. Other games, Walsall. Who are they hosting? I actually closed the window that I had all the games open. So forgive me on this. And I can't edit the video because I don't know how to do it. Mitch is going to help me eventually, but I haven't got. So Walsall is hosting Leicester City. And Leicester, listen, they could lose to anybody. Derby County hosting West Ham. Those are the ones I sort of wrote down as having the cup set potential. I'll have to do a little more digging. Any games you guys want to shout out, or should we move on to rest of the world?
No, I'll be curious to see Man United. I guess I like watching them now.
Yeah,
they're playing Reading. They'll probably beat the brakes off them, but I'll be curious to see it.
Listen, I'm a big Manchester fan. As I said, I'm all in. All right, rest of world time. This is going to be U.S. men's national team heavy. So first and foremost, we got to talk about this. It's the only thing that U.S. soccer Twitter was talking about yesterday. Gio Reyna came in, scored an absolute banger against Augsburg. And I think they won 4-3 on that goal. So shout out to Reyna, just an absolute banger. Great goal. That's not what people were talking about, though. It was the celebration that sort of captured the imagination of U.S. soccer fans everywhere. Gio Reyna, I'll try and give an explanation if you guys want to correct me or sort of amplify it, go for it. But basically, after the goal, he ran over to the sideline and he did like all sorts of hand signals. He did like a people are talking hand signal. He did a like I can't hear you or I can hear you thing. And then he did the one that everybody's really talking about. He took his four fingers, put them in his ears. You got to follow us on YouTube. That's the only way you're going to see this. But shout out promos. So, he did the Memphis Depay celebration. And, there was a lot of talk after the World Cup about a lot of things involving Reyna and Berhalter. But one of them, and this wasn't specific to Reyna, but basically Berhalter said, listen, we don't have, a Memphis Depay scoring Champions League goals in the squad, that we can turn to for the World Cup.
Which, let's be very clear, at the time was a stupid comment. He has several players that have scored in Champions League games and players that are playing regular Champions League minutes. So
it was definitely a foot in mouth moment. Not his worst. Not his worst. Like the conference,
no, not by a long shot.
Where he spoke off the record was by far worse. But yeah, that was just a silly comment to make. And this celebration has caught a lot of attention at this point.
And I don't get why. It's like very clearly like what you do. Like when something like this happens and you score a banger, you're gonna fucking flex and like do your thing and like plug your ears. I didn't think it was like a crazy celebration. It wasn't like when Haaland like was like screaming in people's faces after scoring a penalty and shit like that. And then like I saw people commenting and being like, he's a child. It's like, yeah, he is quite young. He's quite literally a child.
Just turned 20. So yes,
he just turned 20 years old. He's pretty young. Also, motherfucker, you're sitting in a cubicle. You have never even had a chance to do a celebration in your life. Next time you send a fax, maybe try one of those and see how you feel. You'll feel pretty fucking good, I bet.
Oh, the reason it really got to people, I saw a lot of people sort of, most of the people are anti-Berhalter in this entire situation. Let's just be honest. It's just a toxic situation. It's not a good one. But there were a lot of people who did not like Gio Reyna's celebration. They were basically saying, okay, well, listen, you helped cause this saga, this drama, whatever. Obviously, parents' situation is out of his control. That amplified it. Greg's decision to talk about it after the tournament further threw fire on the fire on the flame, gas on the fire. But I think a lot of the criticism was essentially, listen, you kind of helped cause this problem by acting out at World Cup camp. So it's maybe a little, I don't know if hypocritical is the word,
or like just bad taste, or just
that's what the criticisms were basically based on.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, listen, everyone can go blow for blow about placing the blame, and the truth of the matter is always in the middle. Like, they're probably both to blame for the situation. Like, he definitely wasn't an angel. Burkhardt was an angel. The whole thing is just a mess. But I'll say this: Gio Reyna don't grow on trees. Okay. And part of the U.S. national team thing is we don't have, we're not Man City.
We don't have too many Memphis Depay scoring.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we don't have Memphis Depay. We don't have multiple Memphis Depays. So regardless of putting the blame on Gio Reyna, which he probably is deserving of a varying amount, we got to just kind of be like, okay, you know what? Let's make him happy. Like we can get another coach. We can always get another coach. We don't have the depth to be like ostracizing a very, very unique talent in our system. So I'm going to be Team Gio, even if he's being a little bit of a douche.
I'll co-sign that and add that anybody that expects the 20-year-old to act more maturely than the grown-ass adult coach has their head so far up their ass that Gio has every right to go and celebrate the way he did. You don't have to read into it too much to hear what he's saying, and you can take it at face value that, like, hey, this is a bit of a fuck you to Berhalter. This is a reaction to the situation, and that's it. It ends right there. It's not really like an accumulation of what happened, and it's kind of just a separate event in my eyes from the parent stuff, from the World Cup stuff. It's his piece, and I don't think it requires a response or anything or an overreaction. I think it's just the dynamic. Rudy, I think you're right that the truth is probably somewhere in that middle ground, but the internet has to take one side or another.
Yeah.
I'm Team Gio for the time being. That was a banger. If you don't celebrate that, I'd be more concerned. So I'll put myself on Team Gio.
Also, if we're really breaking down the tape here, everyone's like, okay, Gio, you got to be quiet and just do your job. What did he do? He said, shh, I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah, he came on in like the 63rd minute and then scored it in the 68th.
How do we not know that he's
the
not silencing himself?
Doing your job.
Yeah. How do we know he's not silencing himself?
Okay. Wow. We're really spinning this one.
Yeah.
So my bone to pick here is not necessarily with Gio. Like, the goal is great. Celebration, I'm sort of 50-50 on it. My bone is with the lazy takes that I'm seeing everywhere on Twitter. And I wasted so much time because I'm an idiot yesterday, going back and forth with people on Twitter about this. The lazy takes about Berhalter's handling of Gio at the World Cup. It's easy, right? Berhalter is the sacrificial lamb at this point. Like, the toxicity surrounding the US soccer and US soccer Twitter especially is so strong right now. And everybody is at Berhalter's neck. Like, I can't believe they're still talking about bringing him back just because how toxic this situation is. I can't believe he would want to come back and put himself through this again. I hope he doesn't. But anyway, it's like there is, as Rudy said, I believe, there is some middle ground here, right? And so I was the idiot going back and forth with people on Twitter, kind of defending Greg. And unfortunately, when you defend Greg these days, it comes off as, if you say anything sort of semi-defense in his defense, you come off as this, US soccer bootlicker, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not it. I've been, ever since the final whistle of the Netherlands game, I've been Berhalter out. Like, I appreciate what he did. It's time for him to move on. It's time for us to move on, especially with this Gio Reyna situation. That was just extra. As you said, Rudy, like, Gio Reynas don't grow on trees. And so, like, it is time to move on. It's time to wipe the slate clean. Just stop with the lazy takes about Berhalter's handling of the situation at the World Cup. Berhalter fucked up after the World Cup. Never should have talked about it. His handling at the World Cup was not. I will defend him there. Anyway, we'll move on because we got other stuff to talk about, and we only got 10 minutes to talk about it. So let's get this going. Other things: Juventus 15-point deduction, which I believe they're appealing, so it's not official yet. But that's big news. It's not a huge surprise. You've been hearing about all this stuff, in the background, sort of bubbling up. And Agnelli, the chairman, who's no longer the chairman because he got thrown out for all sorts of reasons, like, he was at the head of the Super League. And, the fact he was pushing so hard for that suggested there were problems. But Mitch, I think you had a take on this one, right?
Yeah, it sucks that this happened. It more specifically sucks to the players, the Weston McKennies of the world. And I just think that 15-point deduction should be implemented at the beginning of next season. So those players who really didn't have anything to do with the financial misgoings going on there, those players have the opportunity to jump ship and their season their careers and their livelihood aren't affected by the decisions of the guy that signs their paychecks. I would have like it shoots an entire season in the foot. They went from 1st to 10th or 11th. That's I don't know of any other situations in which that has happened. I'm sure it has in the past, but specifically for this Juventus team, specifically for Weston McKennie, who is an Arsenal target, I might add, it sucks. And I think it would be a little more righteous for the whatever organization hands down these penalties to do so at the beginning of next season. Have Juventus start on negative 15 points and have them work their way up from there. The math will work itself out, and you're not punishing players that were innocent in this whole thing. So if you hear this, the president of the Italian Football Association, give me a call.
I like it. Outside the box thinking.
That's a fun. I fuck with that.
Yeah.
I co-sign that as well.
Yeah. The one I actually am curious though, like I think that like from a Juventus standpoint, if you're like the board or whatever, you actually wouldn't want that. Because now like it's gonna be like, okay, well, this is bad, but like the players are gonna it's like, all right, this season's a wash, the players are gonna stick around and then we'll be back and hit it hard. If it's like, well, we're gonna start dash 15 next year, all of a sudden like a bunch of guys are like, you know what, dude, like I can go anywhere else.
That's exactly why. That's exactly why Mitch wants it.
That's the point. You should be punishing the board and not the players.
You're right.
The players should have that decision and be like, all right, yeah, I'm going elsewhere. Fuck it. I'll go to Napoli. I'll go to Inter. I'll change countries. The board should be the one that's punished. The players should see no change in their salary for the rest of the season and then have them or give them the opportunity to jump this obviously faulty ship.
Also, that would be like must-watch TV if they're like, can they do it? It'd be like, you know, a Champions League game where you're down 4 goals aggregate. And
yeah,
it's like,
the old goal differential in Champions League games those used to create some crazy fucking storylines.
Yeah.
And you know for a fact that even if minus 15 points, Juventus would still be competing for their title. Like it's Juventus. They're still going to compete for a Serie A title. That would be a hell of a title race and a hell of a story. So you get the documentary out of it in 3 years and you kind of, shoot yourself in the foot in this year.
I like it. I like it. We'll go with unless it ends up with sort of pushing Weston McKennie to Arsenal, which would be my fucking nightmare. In which case I am not co-signing that at all. All right. Lastly, U.S. men's national team. We got some friendlies here. On the women's side, we just beat the brakes off of New Zealand twice. Shout out to them. There were so many new, names, new faces out there scoring goals. That was awesome because we have needed, a recycle for a while now. So it was great to see that on the women's side. On the men's side, we got friendlies coming up on Wednesday against Serbia and then Saturday against Colombia. Solid competition. Obviously, this is not going to be anywhere near our first 11, by any stretch of the imagination, but there's going to be some guys. The important thing to watch here is for individual performances. It's going to be a little, awkward and everything like that. But because these guys don't play together. They haven't been in camp together for most of them. It's going to be a little, hodgepodge, to use a word that I used earlier. It's 2 hodgepodges in one podcast, by the way. It's going to be a little awkward, but like, if you look for individual performances, like shout out Julian Gressel, going to talk to him on this episode. Great to see him out there. Alejandro Zendejas, one of the best stories of the camp, which maybe I'll save that for GOAWs. There's some talent at this token from Red Bulls. I think a lot of people think he's sort of on the up and coming. There's a lot of talent out there, and so just look for individual performances. Don't really worry about the overall sort of output. And also come to Declan's on Wednesday if you're in Chicago, Wells Street. Declan's on Wells. All right. Move on. We'll wrap up. We'll put a bow on this. We'll wrap it all up. Stoppage time. We're going to start with Ivan Toney's best bets. It's kind of a tough week. Whenever you have these FA Cup, weeks, it's not the normal stuff. But we at least have like an Arsenal City game if you guys want to go there, or some other games. Anything stand out to you guys?
My typical go-to until the book sort of figured it out. I mean, Erling Haaland to score was like still plus money for the longest time.
Not
it was
anymore.
Insane.
They figured it
and
out.
And then like the guys at the office were like, "What do you think about this game?" And it was the Tottenham game, and I was like, "You got to go Haaland to score." I mean, it's like so basic, but I was like, it's still plus money, and he's just it's a cash machine. And they were like, it's minus 150, and I was like, what? I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, everywhere. I was like, okay, they finally caught on. Also, that just shows how fucking nuts he is, that like the score being a minus bet is nuts. Um, it's hard because like with the Friday game, you're gonna have to make a game time decision on the lineup, because you don't
Yeah.
know who's gonna start. I love betting Jack Grealish to score just because I'm a huge Jack Grealish supporter and I think he is gonna start. It just is fun,
I
you
knew
know.
there was a Grealish fan somewhere in the world, and I guess we just found him. I like
He
Grealish.
is so useful. People just like are like, oh, he doesn't score goals. He doesn't score goals. Dude, he runs straight at people's faces and
You
is
just
like,
bet on him to score a goal. You just said how much you like betting on him to score
because it's
goals.
fun and it's very undervalued. Because it's fun. And I wanted to see him do good. I wanted to see him do good and silence the haters. Also he did score against United, so like whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I would like that one. Riyad Mahrez is kind of in a moment right now. I think he will start, so I like that one a lot. But yeah, it's tough. It's just tough to handicap that one. You're gonna have to do a sort of a game time decision.
Okay. You like the individual scoring bets? Okay.
I do. For me, it's hard for me to find value other places because I am still I don't know quite all the ball yet.
All right. Fair enough. Mitch, you got anything for us?
Rudy, since I first met you to now, you've made quite the stride in ball knowledge, and I'd like to. Everybody needs to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go over to Italy.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna hang out with Juventus, and I don't feel comfortable betting on them for the next like month or two at least after all this blows over. I'm gonna say
Brave.
Inter Milan money line against Cremonese, who is either like 19th or 20th in Serie A, and then Lazio versus AC Milan is going to be a hell of a game. Both attackers in form in that game. I like both teams to score, so it brings you plus 155 if you parlay the two. It's a safer parlay. Plus Lazio and AC Milan is going to be a hell of a lot of fun to watch. So you can root for goals.
I like the shout. Cremonese just beat Napoli actually in the Italian sort of whatever the FA Cup. Yeah, they did. It was
I should think twice about.
In penalties. Well, perhaps that was their big win of the season, though, right? That's their Super Bowl. Now they're going to try and focus on that cup.
Right.
They could get boat raced, domestically. So I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, they're comfortably in 20th right now in Serie A. I don't think they have eyes on a challenge there.
Okay. I also do we know who Chelsea's playing next?
In the league, or
like whatever their next game is? Because I might be drinking the Kool-Aid here, but am I crazy? I think that Mudryk and Joao starting.
Is he back? Is he back for this one?
I believe he's back next game.
Okay.
It'll be February 3rd when they play Fulham next.
That's a Friday game.
I could see them at some point just like opening the top, and it's just going to be like at some point I think the levy's going to break and they're just going to rout somebody.
Ooh-wee.
So I would like an over
Graham
on that.
Potter allows them to, though. Joao Felix plays, he's ball dominant. He loves the ball at his feet. He loves dribbling at people. So does Mudryk. So does Pulisic, to be fair, but he's learned to play in a Potter system. I know Pulisic's injured, but Potter seems to buy all of these attackers that don't play like he wants his offenses to play. But I completely agree that these are two guys that are capable of putting up 2 goals apiece and, putting 6-7-0 against Fulham, maybe not 6-7, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I like that shout. I like them to eventually come out of their shell. Mudryk's got to score his first at some point, right?
Yeah. And I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid right now, but dude, I mean, Felix in that first game, like his give a fuck meter was like at 100. He was going so hard. And like, even though he got the red card, I was just like, dude, this guy is giving it and I love it. And then when I saw Mudryk, I was like, once again, this guy's a problem.
Yeah.
And those two together.
Both of them are dangerous in both senses of the word. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like the shout. Joao Felix did look really good until the red card, obviously. Okay. Mine is going to be, I'm going to stick with FA Cup. I think that Fulham hosting Sunderland, these are two teams that both score a bunch of goals. I like the over in that. I know that 2.5, it's minus 159. You might want to bump that up to 3.5. You get plus 170. I could see that happening very easily. You add both teams to score on the over 3.5, and you get to plus 215. Oof, I kind of like that. Sunderland and Fulham, both teams scored over 3.5. All right, let's finish it up strong with GOAWs time. Now, Rudy, you're the you haven't been on in a couple weeks, so
Yep.
if you want to go first, we'll allow it.
And I'll say this: the Goa it can be a negative one, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the
Good.
best thing about GOATest of all week. It can, it's a goat, right? It
Yes.
can be good and bad.
Well, I think I already alluded to it, but I mean, I have to make
He's
my
bad.
Goa is without even a question of a doubt is Rory Jennings.
Rory.
The
Oh,
worst takes I've ever seen someone throw out there. And then he's got all these fucking sycophants that are like, oh yeah, maybe City aren't as good with Haaland. Maybe they aren't as good. I mean, he's if he's trying to troll me specifically,
is working.
he succeeded.
Yeah,
He's done his job. Because but I'll be careful, Rory, because you might go down in history as the most sub-zero, freezing cold, absolute zero, Pluto, billions of miles from the sun, fucking ice comet takes on Erling Haaland. No one has ever been so unanimously wrong and continuously wrong about a take than Rory Jennings. And like I said earlier, you're British. You're born with a baseball knowledge. You are gifted by the gods a base card of 70 ball knowledge. You somehow have managed to work that silver card down to maybe I don't even know what's below bronze, fucking copper. His card is made of wood if it's based on punditry.
Oh, you are so butthurt about him. It's hilarious. I love it.
His
I can't
fucking
wait to
face
see this
too.
rivalry grow. I
Right.
need you two to meet in real life. Maybe fight.
My only goal
on the Twitch.
My only goal is that somehow, like listen, he at the end of the day, even though he is the worst takes on earth, overall he's gonna have better ball knowledge than me. The only thing I can hammer home is that I am an American and you are a British person. You should be better than this. You're disgracing your country. I'm a visitor in this sport. I'm a visitor. I'm still learning my way. And even I know right now you're acting a fool.
Rory Jennings. Oh, go. I like it. Good shout.
Mute his fucking mic if you're a producer on that podcast, mute that man's mic. I'm telling you, dude, Mans has got a wood card in FIFA.
Oh, I love it. You are so bent out of shape about it. It's good. That's what GOAWs is all about. So well done.
Look at his TikTok and tell me that you don't get triggered too.
He's still going. Oh man. I'm not on TikTok, but I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out just for you.
Thank you.
All right, Mitch, who you got?
I feel compelled to shout my negative one first now. Rudy got me feeling all
yeah, dude,
anxious.
Let it rip.
I'm worked up secondhand. It's Human Son. Fuck Human Son and his dog shit performances lately, his dirty play, and the I guess infallible image that people want to paint him with, particularly on the internet because he smiles a lot.
Did Mikey pay you for this?
Yeah, dude, Mikey's in my head about this, but he's not even consistently. He said it once, and it's all I've been able to think about anytime I see him. And and I'm a little biased because of his performances lately. He's been non-existent. Yeah. It's 90 minutes of ghosting out there. But this past game against Fulham earlier today kind of solidified that. And he stomped on what's his face's ankle too. I honest to God don't think he is the patron saint of football as people paint him to be.
Nicest guy.
My positive Goa, however, I didn't expect that to come out. Rudy brought that out of me. My positive Goa is the referee in the women's Portugal Benfica versus Sporting game, who awarded a white card. And it's the first of its kind. A white card is meant to signify a play or example of good sportsmanship in the game. And it was because the medical staffs for Benfica and Sporting had cared to and nursed back to health a fan who had fainted in the stands. Referee issued sounds negative. Referee showed them a white card as a sign of respect and overall goodness towards the game. And I think that's awesome. I'd like to see more of that. So it's not all negative on this podcast.
Okay. All right. I like the pure positivity of that. Oh, I saw a tweet on that, and this is why I'm going to hell. My first thought,
cynical as shit with
my first thought was, God, that's ridiculous. That's cringeworthy. But like,
your curmudgeon old man
I know.
dance off, and and put on your "Hey, I'm a real human" pants
I know.
because somebody fainted in the stands and some other people saved them during a beautiful game.
I know.
Put a
That's
smile
why
on.
I'm going to hell. I'm just too jaded at this point. Wait till
At
you get
least
to be
you're
my
trying.
age. You're going to be
Yeah,
jaded just like me.
I look forward to it.
If you make it that long. That was a shot at me, not you, by the way. So GOAWs, I got a couple honorable mentions. ESPN FC admin, they did 20 posts on this, Saudi Arabian PR move game. 20 posts. They were spamming the timeline with just like the most inane, stupid, like what? I get it. Like there was one post and they basically told on themselves. They basically said like the top, I don't know, 4 Instagram accounts for soccer players were all playing in the game at once or something like that. Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, and Sergio Ramos or something like that. So like they were basically, that's why they did it, of course, but like 20 posts. I came to, I don't know why I still follow them. I don't know why I'm telling on myself here. I'm telling on myself. ESPN FC, get your head out of your ass because that was
Let
just
me
ridiculous.
let me add on to that. You want to read a tweet from earlier today? If you exclude Barcelona's 3-1 loss to Real Madrid, they have only conceded 3 goals in 16 La Liga matches. If you, yeah, another way of saying that is they've conceded 6 goals. What do you mean if you exclude a game? When did we start tweeting out stats that, oh well, if this happened and you don't look at this part of the stat sheet, then this is the true. What are we doing?
Right.
What are
If
we
the
doing?
Patriots beat the Giants, they'd be 19-0 and the biggest.
That was a stray bullet. Appreciate that.
I know. Sorry about that.
But if I were to say ESPN FC is my GOA, then it would come off as biased. They're a little bit of a competitor to me. I'm glad you said it though. Shit.
Right. You can co-sign.
I love watching ESPN FC because it's like good takes. I appreciate their commentary, and then Alejandro opens his mouth.
You're just making enemies left and right today. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I had somebody. Oh, Alejandro Zendejas. He's a shout. He probably deserves an actual Goa, but I got it reserved for somebody else this week, so I'm going to give him like 1B Goa. So Alejandro Zendejas. If you guys don't know this guy, like you should check out. Look at his highlights and sort of see what he's all about. He plays for Club America. He is really good. He hasn't been on the radar so much because he's been playing for the Mexican national team. Obviously, he wanted to jump ship given the fact they can't win anything these days. But like, not only did he play for them, he basically, I'm convinced he's a double agent, a secret mole. He forced them to forfeit a whole slew of games because he was ineligible to play for them because he played for us in like the U15 or U17 or something like that, and then played for them without filing a one-time switch. So they had to forfeit like, I don't know, 5 games, some of them senior games, some of them friendlies, but some of them like U23 games or U21. I don't know what it was, but shout out to him because he basically forced them to forfeit a whole bunch of games. It's going to hurt their FIFA ranking. And then now he's playing for us and he's awesome. So love the Zendejas kid. Well, my actual Goa is going to Chris Richards. We had to wait a while to see him in the Premier League, but his first Premier League start, he stopped Marcus Rashford's 9-game scoring streak in its tracks. Rashford was in his pocket the entire game. He played well ever since then as well. It was Newcastle this weekend, another 0-0 draw. So like 2 games, 2 starts for Chris Richards, and he looks legit. And that's awesome because obviously it's a position we shout out Ream Team, captain of the ship right here, but we need some guys coming up. And so if Chris Richards is ready to grab one of those spots, that would be beautiful. And so shout out Chris Richards as my Goa of the week. That's all we got, guys. Thank you, Mitch, Rudy. You guys are the best. Obviously, if you haven't checked out Mitch's stuff on Overtime, you're a dumb. Go check it out. And Rudy, he's killing it on Twitch. Go check that out. And tell Tyler Terrence he's a little bit of a B word for getting the sniffles and not showing up.
Running scared.
It's terrible. I don't blame him after that Chelsea game. But see you guys at Declan's on Wednesday, and stay tuned because we are going to throw it to the interview with Julian Gressel. Here we go.